The Proxima trade station hung in the void like a sprawling metal city, its rotating sections home to over 40 different species. For 3 cycles, it had been plagued by an infestation that defied every conventional solution the galaxy's finest minds could devise. Captain Veshkara, a towering Zenthari with iridescent scales and 4 calculating eyes, stood in the command center watching another monitoring screen flicker and die. The creatures, called scrix in the common tongue, had chewed through another power conduit. Small, fast, and breeding at an exponential rate, they were slowly dismantling the station from within. Another section lost, Vesh's second officer reported, his mandibles clicking nervously. Environmental controls in Bay 7 are failing. Vesh slammed a clawed hand against the console. In his 20 years commanding this station, he had faced pirate raids, diplomatic incidents, and even a spatial anomaly. But these vermin were winning a war of attrition. The station's council had tried everything: sonic deterrence, chemical barriers, even hired Krillian hunters with their enhanced sensory organs. Nothing worked. That's when Rowan walked into his office. The human was unremarkable by galactic standards. Short, soft-skinned, with only 2 eyes and no natural defenses to speak of. She wore a simple maintenance uniform and carried a datapad under one arm and a strange perforated container under the other. "Captain Vesh," Rowan said, her voice calm despite facing a being who could crush her skull with one hand. "I heard you have a pest problem." Vesh's eyes narrowed. "Human Rowan, I am aware of your species' reputation for unconventional solutions, but I assure you we have exhausted every option. Unless your kind has developed some miraculous technology—" "Not technology," Rowan interrupted, setting the container on his desk. Something inside it shifted, and Vesh heard a sound he'd never encountered before, a low, rumbling vibration. "Biology." She opened the container. 2 green eyes stared out from the darkness, reflecting the station's lights with an almost predatory gleam. Then a creature emerged, small, covered in gray and white fur, with pointed ears and a tail that moved with languid confidence. "This," Rowan said, "is a cat." Vesh leaned back. "You brought a pet to solve an infestation that has defeated military-grade countermeasures?" "Not a pet, a hunter." Rowan scratched behind the cat's ears, and it produced that strange rumbling sound again. Cats are apex predators on Earth. For thousands of years, they've controlled pest populations in human settlements. They're patient, efficient, and they actually enjoy hunting small, fast-moving creatures. "One small predator cannot—" "I brought 70. Vesh's scales rippled in disbelief. "You brought 70 predators onto my station without clearance?" "I cleared it with the council 3 days ago," Rowan said, pulling up documentation on her datapad. "While you were focused on the Krillian hunters, they gave me permission to run a trial program." She smiled. "Consider this the trial." Over the next week, Vesh watched something he would later describe as both horrifying and magnificent. Rowan had strategically placed cats throughout the infested sections. At first, the other species were terrified. The Murelians, peaceful herbivores, filed complaints about Earth's demons lurking in corridors. The Centaurian delegates refused to leave their quarters after a tabby named Whiskers left a deceased scrix at their door as a gift. But the results were undeniable. In Bay 7, a sleek black cat named Shadow cleared an entire nest in 2 days. Security footage showed her moving with liquid grace through the ventilation system, dispatching scrix with surgical precision. In the Market District, 3 cats working in tandem cornered and eliminated a breeding cluster that had evaded detection for weeks. The scrix, having never encountered predators like cats, had no defense. Their speed meant nothing against reflexes honed by millions of years of evolution. Their numbers meant nothing against tireless hunters who treated the hunt as both necessity and entertainment. Vesh found himself visiting the observation posts, watching an orange cat named Marmalade stake out a corridor with infinite patience. The cat waited for 3 hours, completely motionless, before striking with explosive speed. The scrix never knew what hit it. "How are they so effective?" Vesh asked Rowan as they walked through a now clear section. "Cats are obligate carnivores," Rowan explained. "They don't just hunt to eat. They hunt because it's who they are. Their hearing can detect frequencies you can't imagine. Their eyes see in low light. Their reflexes operate faster than conscious thought. And unlike your hired hunters, they don't get bored or tired. For them, this is enrichment. A calico cat bounded past them, carrying a Scrix triumphantly. Plus, Rowan added, they're incredibly low maintenance. Give them food, water, somewhere to do their business, and the occasional affection, and they're happy. They basically run on autopilot. By the end of the month, the infestation was over, not reduced, eliminated. The cats had systematically cleared every section, driving the remaining Scrix into the void or into their waiting claws. The station's sensors reported zero pest activity for the first time in 3 cycles. The council held an emergency session. Vesh expected anger, accusations of bringing dangerous predators aboard. Instead, the representatives were unanimous. The cats could stay. The Morellians had discovered that cats were affectionate when well fed. The Centaurians found them elegant. The maintenance crews loved them for keeping the corridors clear. Several delegates had already bonded with specific cats, treating them like dignitaries. Rowan stood before the council with a grin. I told you it would work. How did your species discover these creatures' utility? The Zenthari counselor asked. We didn't discover it, Rowan said. Cats discovered us. About 10,000 years ago, they wandered into our grain stores, found mice to hunt, and decided humans were useful enough to keep around. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement. We've been partners ever since. Vesh approached Rowan privately after the session. Your kind never ceases to surprise us. Where others saw an unsolvable problem, you saw an opportunity for an ancient alliance. Rowan shrugged. That's humanity for you. We don't always have the best technology or the strongest bodies, but we're really good at making friends, even with species that think they're using us. She glanced at Shadow, who was currently allowing a group of young Morellians to pet her. The cats probably think they domesticated us. Perhaps they did, Vesh said, his scales rippling with what might have been amusement. As he watched a cat named Admiral stretch luxuriously in a sunny spot, Vesh made a note in his log. Never underestimate humans. They once tamed apex predators by offering food and affection. Their capacity for unconventional solutions remains their greatest strength. Throughout the station, cats patrolled, napped, played, and occasionally brought gifts of deceased pests to their favorite aliens. The humans had done it again, solving an impossible problem not with weapons or technology, but with companionship. And somewhere in the void, the galaxy took note. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or their courage. It was their ability to turn anything, even predators, into family.